Hi everyone, today I want to share another tips and ideas for improving movements in Olympic weightlifting, and today's topic will be glute muscles. Now, what do we want from our glutes? I can think of two main areas, first of them being the mobility, so that we can go safely to deep squat position, and the second area is when finishing our extensions here, whether it is snatch or clean and jerk, we want to be strong and explosive here. So it's those two main areas, mobility and finishing the extension being explosive, in other words, strong there as well. But if we ask ourselves what do we do with our glute muscles during the day, we might find out that first we sit way too much, and that basically means compression to that area, which makes that muscle inactive, and that's not going to help to your lifting. So what can we do with that? Well, I'll show you exercise which will mobilize your hip joint so that we can go to deeper positions safely, opening the glute muscles. Then we should focus on some warming up exercises that are preparing the glute muscle to work before lifting. And finally, we should also think about our daily habits. So let's get into it. Now, before we start the exercises, I want to first test how is it with your mobility around the hip joint. So please sit as me, cross your legs, and try to reach the ground with your elbows with open up chest. So don't arch here, just try to maintain aligned spine and try to reach down for the elbow. If you manage this, perfect. But if not, and you're somewhere here, that's not enough. You should be able to get easily with your elbows here, or all the way down with your head. But as I said, I'm already opening a little bit spine here, so just this one. Now the second test, put your feet together, put them somewhere under your face, so not too much forward, not too much close to your body. Just if you would be bending forward, it would be under your face. And with the help of your arms, reach for your toes and try to get your elbows on the ground again, having your body aligned, open chest, and try to get down if this is possible. You'll find out that you might end up here and suddenly it blocks here, and that's exactly the area on the side of your hip which is blocking you maybe from getting to deep and easy squat position here. Because it's so stiff, it will not allow you, and then some bending can happen in the lower back and so on. So very easy test. Put the feet together, reach with your elbows. Now, what to do with these issues? The exercise I chose for today is called pigeon. Comes from yoga, but I modified it a little bit to use of Olympic weightlifter. So try to sit like me and close the angle in your knee, because that's the starting position, so we don't want to make it so intense for the beginning. And what you do is that you do simple transitions from the ground over your foot. So from fully sitting position, up and down. This is very passive, so I'm using my arms, I'm using my body to lift myself, nothing happening in the glute area, just resting. If this is fine, then I start to open or increase the angle in my knee and front leg, and I do it again. The point here is to not arch your back, so you want to be with open chest aligned so that the movement happens mostly in the hip joint. So I just go like this, back and forward. I do this for 3 to 4 sets, always increasing the angle in my knee joint, so that's increasing the angle in the hip joint as well, until I find the barrier or point where I start to feel the intensity a bit more. So here I start to feel something is happening. I can feel the stretch happening in my hip, and I do it for about 10 reps. And from that point on, I start with active opening. So if I don't use my arms, I would squeeze my glutes to get up, and then with controlled releasing, I would sit back down. And the same I repeat around 10 times. So it's no swinging, it's just squeezing the glute area here, coming up. Squeeze and then release, come deep. If you can't manage to do this movement without support, it's no problem. Just have your arms still here, but originate the activation or the movement itself from the glute area. So squeeze, come down. If you don't feel much, open it up. It should improve already through the repetitions. So again, squeezing up, coming down. Squeezing up, coming down. Squeezing up, coming down. So the muscle at the same time is active in bringing you up and controlling how far it lets you go, and because of the body weight, it goes quite deep with each repetition you do. So the muscle is involved in both activity and opening, mobilizing the hip. So this is very, very easy and useful exercise. You can work quite a lot till you open your knee joint pretty a lot. But as you can see, I'm moving mostly above my knee. So if we think about squatting or doing Olympic weightlifting, the knee is quite a side of the body. So if I'm in squat, then my knees are somewhere there. So we should also try to get into positions like this during opening the hip. So if I'm here, this is not enough. So if you go way more over above your ankle and you help or assist with your other foot, you can lift yourself up. So I'm also lifting the back knee, squeeze your glute, and then coming deep to the sitting position. Again, coming up, squeeze, relax, come deep. You should be able to reach full contact with your glute, knee, and your ankle. So try to also work with this. Of course, more you're opening here, the more intensity you're putting into that stretch. So squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax. Try this for both sides and you will see how easier it will be to get deeper here and have the possibility to travel forward with your glutes or with your hip during the lifting as well. Other exercises you could try is using the tables, benches or boxes in your clubs, where you would just sit on and then work towards your foot back and forward with the assistance of your glute. So I can go back and forward, shooting from my glute, up and down. If it's too intense, you can of course start again above the knee and then surge towards your foot, but always with a line back. So never arch, never go there with your head, but go there with the whole body, always with the assistance of your glutes. So those are exercises or variations of a pigeon pose taken from yoga, a bit modified for Olympic weightlifting, opening the glute muscles and gaining more hip mobility in that area. Other exercises I like to recommend are maybe already part of your warming up routines, but I like to focus on the glute bar activation in it. So exercise good morning, everyone knows it, probably many of you do it, when you have bar above your head and you're just bending up and down, usually commonly done for warming up. Now I'd like you to think or ask what you think about. I like to bring the activity of the core together with activity of my glutes, so that before I start to bend forward, I squeeze really hard and then I release the glutes and control the movement on the way down, and then I squeeze again on the way up, finishing the extension, squeezing really hard again. So opening up, but controlled, squeezing, shooting forward. So when I do good morning, I do that always, squeezing the glutes, controlling the movement, bending in my hip. Second tip I could give is when you do squats, try to use the same principle. This I learned from Ben Pakulski, which is a professional bodybuilder. He's using it to again activate and connect with the glute muscle when doing squats. It works perfectly for weightlifters as well, so that when you're in a squat position, you squeeze again your glutes and you go down by control of the glute area. So you don't need to lean or only focus on your quadriceps, but as well as your glute muscles, because we said it's the main extensor. So when you go up from the squat, what do you want more to work? Is it your quadriceps or the extensor? I think it's the extensor. So you should squeeze, squeeze, squeeze and finish the extension through the glute muscle. I'm not saying that it's just that muscle that works. Of course it works all together, but this shouldn't be forgotten, which often is. So squeeze the glute, control with the glute, come down, come up with the glute. It's very tricky or can be difficult in the beginning, but try to include it to your squat session and you will see that you will gain better connection with your glutes from these exercises. And if you want to focus on the explosive part where you do the extension in your hip, then I could recommend exercise where you would lift from the blocks, either snatch or clean and jerk grip, and you would just lift from the block from above your knees and focus on shooting the hip forward. So you would focus on the trajectory of your hip being horizontal. Not much about how high you lift here, but how well you travel on that trajectory with your hip, squeezing, doing the extension. Those are very simple adjustments to your training, but can gain you really better control in your hip area. And when it comes to your daily activities, try to use your glute muscles whenever, wherever you can, because it really pays off. If you go a lot of upstairs, try to take 2 steps at the same time. Squeezing when you drive a car, standing on the red light, sitting in the bus or tram, whatever. Squeezing in your office from time to time, or taking few squats in the breaks. Why not? So that your muscle is actually active and can be used easier in Olympic weightlifting. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.